DJ Metal Craig of Craig's Metal Firm here, and I have one of the members of Fire and Ice with me today. Hey, how's it going? Would you like to introduce yourself and what position you do in the band? Hopefully, I got the band name right.
Hi, my name is Mark Spider, and I'm the bassist and vocalist for Fire and Ice.
Please go back in the history of Fire and Ice and how the band all got started.
Well, memory is a little bit hazy, but I do remember how the entire band started. So at the beginning, the band began as somewhat of a side project with me and some other person. Um, he managed to reach out, John, who was in Long Island, and he came down. Unfortunately, that project it didn't work out in the end. Everything just fell through, and we all just went our separate ways, but John and I kept contact with each other. From there, he proposed a new project, and I was on board 100%. So, with this project that we were going through with, we didn't know who we were going to get. He wanted a lead guitarist, and I didn't know. The first thing off of my mind, I didn't know which lead guitarist we should pick, but he proposed that we get this kid from the Bronx, which, fortunately enough, I know the guy entirely. He was also in a band before I started this project with John. So when he mentioned his name, Shane, it rung a bell. I'm like, oh, I know this guy. He's from this one other band I used to be in. So once Shane was in the picture, we needed a drummer. So we threw some names out. Shane threw Mike's name out. And since he was already in a band already, he was in his band called Conquer at Will. He still had the time and he still had the schedule to work it out with us. And from there, we just hit it off from the beginning, and we did our first rehearsal sessions in Long Island in John's house. And the rest, I believe it's history. So we all started through meeting each other. Mostly it's on the internet because we were hitting people, back and forth, and we just got to know each other even more. And it's just been a ride ever since then.
Cool, man. This next one's a little bit of a tricky one to answer. Who came up with the band name Fire and Ice?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Shane. Shane was the one that came up with the name Fire and Ice.
And is there a meaning behind it?
Not sure if there was a meaning behind the name action entirely. I just went under under the interpretation that it was taken from a Cinderella song called Fire and Ice.
Okay, I wasn't sure about that. I just thought I'd ask if there was a meaning behind it because that's what I usually ask the bands next for that question. All good, man. This next one is a good one too. Who designed the Fire and Ice band logo?
So the logo itself wasn't designed; it was typed out on a font. I used a free to use, commercial free font I found on the internet, and we just been using that as our band's logo. I intentionally put it as a placeholder temporarily for the band's logo, not knowing that it eventually took off as the official logo. But in the end, after 2 years of having this logo, um, one of our good friends decided to paint up a more redefined logo. It's a little bit more mainstream. It's a little bit more sleek, and it's a little bit different than the current logo. I mean, than the last logo that we had. This current one, it captures from what the original had, which it was a font text style in the first place.
Just so you know, I thought the band logo looked sick and awesome.
Thank you.
What are the band's immediate music career goals?
Oh man, I never really had that much of a goal in mind. Neither does the band, nor do I think. But I believe we both have the exact same goal, the exact same ambition. We just want to get to the top, and we just want to tour. We want to record music the way, you know, our idols used to do. I mean, we look up to bands like Rat, Dokken, Warrant, Winger, Cinderella, and a lot of those bands have been our biggest inspirations in music. It's a type of music genre that nobody touches, And it's amazing that we were able to find a community that is welcoming this kind of music. You don't hear this music a lot nowadays, but with the younger generation, it seems that they're beginning to revive this kind of music.
Right on. And before we get into the next one, which is about the new album that you guys had out, I wanted to let you know the album is sick and awesome. I'd like to thank Dave for sending it in to me. Thank Dave of Head First Entertainment for setting us up with this interview today. And the next question is, how did the album title High Roller come about?
So the album title came about from Mike. Um, I believe it was Mike. We were both back and forth with what names we should call it. We wanted to have it like a gambling style name, and actually Mike. I'm sorry, my mistake. Mike was the one that pinned the idea to have a poker gambling casino style album, um, mostly taken from this band called Bad Company. It was an album that they had, which was somewhat similar, with a pair of dice being thrown in. We decided to go with the whole poker set, and we decided on High Roller because what High Roller means is that you're just going to keep betting money on and on and on until you're going to try winning. So that's pretty much a term most casinos use for people who are constantly betting on something and they haven't won anything yet, and they have a lot of money to make those bets. That's a high roller.
Right on, man. Just so you know, I actually heard of Bad Company, the old school band from the 70s, I think it is. They're absolutely sick and awesome.
Yes.
With High Roller having come out on February 23rd, 2025, hopefully I got the date and year right, where can the album be ordered?
So the album itself can be ordered out of I think it's our Bandcamp page. Yeah, right off of our Bandcamp page, Fire and Ice Bandcamp. If you look us up, you'll see the High Roller album. And it now comes in two formats, or maybe three formats, if I'm not mistaken. We have the MP3 format, we have the CD format, and we also have a cassette format.
Cool, man. Just so you know, if I get a chance to and I have the extra cash, I'll order myself a copy of the album for my collection.
Hell yeah, man. Thank you.
And the next two are I'm gonna get you to talk about are the two favorite songs I chose off the album of High Roller. And the songs I'm gonna ask you about, concept and themes wise, are what are the themes and concepts behind the song Welcome to the Show and Fire in the Sky?
So, Welcome to the Show was an idea Mike had. He wanted a song that was centered, basically welcoming people. So he pretty much gave me the riff idea, and I went along with it, not knowing that this was a misinterpretation of the original idea he had, and I just went, "Oops, I made this song." But we love the song nonetheless. It's still a part of our set list every time we play shows. Um, Fire in the Sky, it was an inspiration of just a couple of wild young heavy metal dudes just going crazy. They just want to, fire up the sky and, just have a good time. And that's exactly what the song is all about. It's just having a good time.
Cool, just give me a second, I gotta clear my throat. I got what's it called? Asthma issues because of the gravel up here from the snow that just got cleared out.
Oh, okay. I see. I hope you're doing well though.
I'm doing okay. I'm doing good from everything with my health. The next one is a good one, and it might get you thinking a bit. Does the band have any band gear endorsements?
Unfortunately, no. We would love an endorsement. Definitely. I would love to be endorsed by Spectre guitars. I mean, they make great basses and everything. And maybe Epiphone. Recently I just been using the Epiphone grabber, mainly because I've been heavily inspired by Gene Simmons, and Gene Simmons has always used a Gibson grabber, and Epiphone just decided to reissue that exact same bass in a different format. And I just been using that as my main gear since then, since my purchase.
That's funny. You just answered the second question, which would be about band gear endorsement you wanted to have. So we'll just get on to the next question. After that, after I tell you one thing about myself, I am a vocalist and a bassist myself. I had to drop a bass because it's too hard to play with doing vocals for the death metal scene. I was playing an Epiphone Embassy 5 string.
Oh, hell yeah, man. Those things are tight.
They're sick. I love down with them.
They are
Thing
sick.
that sucked though is I was living at my house on Atlantic and somebody stole my mic and my bass guitar, which cost me almost $700 in total.
Oh, Jesus.
I was
Oh, man.
pissed when it went missing, man.
Oh, man. I would have been pissed too.
This next one's a good one, and it might get you to elaborate more on your influences you asked about earlier for the band. Who are the band's musical influences?
So our main influences have been Rat, Aerosmith, Kiss, and Cinderella. Um, Individually, each band member has different tastes, different influences from their favorite bands. Mine in particular, I have several bands that I'm deeply inspired when it comes to making music. I mean, first of all, King Cobra is one of them. I mean, Mark Free, he was an amazing singer and has been my biggest inspiration in vocals. Kip Winger as well from the band Winger, that as well as instrumentation. Stars, Flip, and Angel. Those are very, very obscure bands, and they used to be in a label called Rocksteady. Um, I think they were handled by Bill Aucoin at a certain point. And Kiss, for me, Kiss is one of my biggest inspirations. Uh, I know people kind of diss on Kiss quite a lot because the music is just too easy. I mean, it's a little campy and everything, but there's just something to Kiss music that really, really grabs my attention. And I think I wouldn't even be in a band if it wasn't for Kiss, actually.
Funny thing you mentioned Kiss and Angel. I've heard both those bands are sick and awesome. Only album I didn't really like too much by Kiss was the Psycho Circus album.
I mean, it was an okay album. I just didn't like that they were under the album itself was under the interpretation that all band members were included, not knowing that once you start looking back on the facts, that it was just a bunch of session players playing because they still didn't want to talk to each other.
I get you there, man, but the album was good, I'll tell you. It's just a little bit of a letdown because you're expecting the original lineup for that one, and you could tell it wasn't just by the style of playing.
Oh yeah, you can tell it wasn't the original lineup. I think the only song where all members were playing their instrument was Ace Frehley's Into the Void.
I
That's
believe
I
you on
think that's
that.
the only song. I think that's the only song all members are playing together.
Wow. This next one's a really good one. What would you give bands starting out to do as advice to better promote themselves?
Uh, I'm not that much of a big advice giver, but I'll say one thing. Social media right now is it's the next frontier, and I think it has been for the past maybe 7 or 8 years at this point. Always depend on social media, always depend on new apps, and always try to see what's currently trending and see how you can incorporate with that. And in an environment where AI is now the main thing, and I'm heavily against AI. I really am not fond of it. It to me, if you're using AI to write music, it's just lazy. Maybe for novelty purposes, it's cool, but if you're using this as like to be serious and everything, it just seems like lazy work to me. I grew up the old-fashioned way. We play our instruments and we sweat and we bleed out, just given the passion for music. I feel like if you're just using AI, it's just going to feel soulless. Uh, so that's another advice. Avoid AI at all costs.
This next one is a good one. What is your opinion on using artificial intelligence for album arts?
For concepts, I think it could be used. I would definitely use AI for a concept just to give a person like, hey, this is an idea I want, how I want like the album cover to look like. And I know that's going to get some backlash, but I wouldn't use that for official use. Even though that I'm saying it sounds a little hypocritical, I'm saying don't use AI, but maybe here and there you can probably use it. And at this point, I'm like contradicting myself at this point. But if you're going to use AI as like your final result, it just doesn't make any sense. People are going to tell that they can already tell what's going to be AI and what's not. And I've seen already a couple of AI album covers that are not very convincing that seem real. I've even seen like artificially intelligent bands that are on YouTube and they're playing music similar to ours, but I can 100% tell that it is AI. It's most likely on how it's produced and everything, how it's made and how it's generated.
I get you there. I'm against artificial intelligence myself in a way, but I feel if you're going to use the artificial intelligence to design an album art, don't use it to actually promote the album art. Use a real artist afterwards to get the album art done, even if you have to pay less. Because if you pay more for the artificial intelligence album art, it's going to destroy the purpose of the real artists getting money and royalties from the bands who want to use them.
Exactly. Or unless if they know how to draw with a pencil, I'd say sketch up a concept and the artist can work all around it.
What are the band plans for touring? Any upcoming shows?
So we do have upcoming shows at this point. We were supposed to tour, but it kind of fell out. It fell through. We were supposed to do a 2 week stint, I think, with um with another band from Florida. I think they were from. But it just wasn't working out, so we just agreed to playing at least one show with them. The other thing is that we do have shows lined up for us for this summer. Most notably are the Whiskey A Go-Go shows that we are going to be doing in June, July, and August. Retrospectively, in that order, we're going to be opening up for Doggin, uh, Steelheart, and Slaughter.
Right on, man. Hope those shows go well for you. Hope you have a blast with them. And if you get a chance to and you see Don Dawkins, tell him hello from Metal Craig and that Metal Craig would like to do an interview with him if he's available at some point.
Hell yeah, man! I'll see if I can try and pass the word.
Okay, cool. If you can't, no big deal. I'm just doing my best to get my name out there as a DJ, an internet radio DJ, and a musician myself.
Hell yeah, man! That's what it's all about.
This next one is a really good one. Please give some bass tips or advice for starting out bassists to help themselves get better.
Oh man. So that one's a little tricky because I started out playing guitar. I think the first thing, as a bass player, you have to have rhythm. You're always going to be locked in with the drummer, and that's the most important thing because between you and the drummer, you're going to be the foundation and the timekeeper and the groove of every song that you're going to be making. Even if you're a songwriter, you are the ones that are going to be able to command that groove and command that beat and command everything that's the foundation of the song. The guitarists, they can do whatever they want, and singers can do whatever they want, but always remember the deep in the foundation of the song that you're writing, and this goes to any music genre, whether it be metal, rock, rap, hip hop, pop, or whatever. You're always going to be that foundation, and it's good to have a very sturdy and strong foundation in a song as a bass player.
We've got two more for the interview, and then I'll need a couple of station IDs from you.
All right.
Please give some vocal tips or advice for starting out vocalists.
So for vocals, actually, I started out singing Kiss songs actually, and that's where the whole my biggest inspirations from Kiss was because their songs are so easy to sing to. It was easy for me to grab onto it. And if you're if you're very much willing to sing more professionally, because I never went to school for singing. I never got taught how to sing. Nobody taught me how to sing whatsoever. I had to learn these things on my own and how to feel everything out. But if you have the time and you have the money to go and get a vocal coach and everything, that's perfectly fine. You're still learning how to sing, you know, and it's good. It's good that people get to sing. It's good that people get to make music from the soul. We don't get a lot of that nowadays.
There's one more that I'm going to sneak in for the interview before we get into the last question. What advice do you have for people who want to form their own bands?
Always have a very strong communication. That's the most important thing. In a band, you're gonna have to talk to each other. There's gonna be some fights where you're not going to agree with anything, but at the end of the day, you guys are gonna have to stick together like a family. And that's exactly what I've been with this band. To me, this band has been my family, and that, like in a family, you're always going to have fights, you're going to have arguments, you're going to have moments where you're going to cry, and you're going to have, never forget that you're going to also going to have a lot of the good times. And always cherish those good times with your bandmates. And another thing in being a band, financially, it's better if everybody chips in. If everybody chips in, it's less of a headache on everybody else's plate, especially when it comes to food.
I'll get you there. And this last question interview is a good one, and then we need the station IDs. What new band news do you have on the Fire and Ice front? Is there anything we might miss in this interview?
I don't think anything was missed in the interview from right off the top of my head, but I do have to say this. We do have new music coming in for Fire and Ice. We're still in the making the process. And hopefully by either the end of this year or by the beginning of next year of 2027, we begin the process of writing our second album.
Right on, and that leaves us with the station IDs. And the first one is, hey, this is Mark of Fire and Ice, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
Hi, this is Mark from Fire and Ice, and you're listening to Mangled Music Radio.
And then the second station ID is for Rock Addict Radio.
Hi, this is Mark Spider, and you're listening to Rock Addict Radio.
And the last one's for my personal show, Craig's Metal Storm.
Hi, this is Mark Spider, and you're listening to Craig's Metal Storm.
Cool. Thank you very much for the time, and thank you very much for the interview, buddy.
No problem. Thank you, Craig.